In this episode, we get to understand how you can heal your gut and some of the supplements you can take, some of the do's and the don'ts. So, how do I fix my gut?
So once an individual believes that they have leaky gut, two best practices to do is number one, eat a whole food diet rather than a processed food diet. Most important thing for a person with a leaky gut to do is to exercise. It's going to require practice, patience, and persistence. Another very important thing that we include for clients is managing stress.
Please continue with the supplements could be added to the framework of fixing your leaky gut. In this episode, we get to understand how you can heal your gut and some of the supplements you can take, some of the do's and the don'ts. So, I always love this part of the series. I always love to get to how do I fix this? Actionable steps. So, how do I fix my gut?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a little bit, but I want them to know as well.
Yeah. Like we mentioned for diabetes, the framework or the protocol that I'll be talking about is coming from a space of experience. I have helped people reverse it or manage it. But having said that, it's going to require practice, patience, and persistence. And the thing we are going to talk about now should be researched more on or presented to your wellness practitioner, and a collaborative effort should be done towards taking those steps to becoming a healthier version of you. So once an individual believes that they have leaky gut, two best practices to do is number one, eat a whole food diet rather than a processed food diet, because things in packaged and processed food are the things that trigger leaky gut, like preservatives, food coloring, and emulsifiers. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. So that's one thing. And this is again something that we all know, that eating a whole food diet is good. Eating non-processed food is always better than eating processed and packaged food. But it is always important to reiterate and understand the magnitude of impact it can have on our health. That's number one. Number two is something that we have discussed in the previous episodes, that is including more fermented food in our diet. If we include more fermented food in our diet,
One portion every day of fermented food.
yes, even every meal
Every meal?
yeah,
Wow.
will help us to overcome leaky gut in a much accelerated and faster way. So these are the two best practices. Apart from that, in terms of the framework, we always get a client started with something called as the elimination diet. So elimination diet is something in which we eliminate all the known allergens that there are, and that differs from client to client. But most of them are eggs, commercial dairy, seeds, nuts, fish, shellfishes, and all those things. We remove them from the diet.
Soy also,
Soy, right. Soy is something that we remove from the diet. We then formulate a diet which is free of all these things. We let or we give the chance for the gut to heal, and we slowly reintroduce things one after the other. But let's just say we reintroduce one thing and it's still giving us gastric discomfort or not making us feel good, we remove it again. We reintroduce it back again. It can be done multiple times. There is no particular restriction. But if you're doing it for 3 times and it is not working out for you, then as of now, we'll be well off not having that food. So we do this for all the allergens over a period of time, and we reach to a space where you're having a more understood and healthy relationship with the food choices that we make. So number one is elimination diet. Number two is within the elimination diet, there is another dietary protocol known as the low FODMAP diet. FODMAP. So
Low FODMAP diet.
So FODMAP stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polyols.
Okay, then.
So this is just a
I'm going to
fancy
just
term.
remember FODMAP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So this is just a fancy term for the food groups that bacteria in the gut feed on. And like we discussed, if there is gut dysbiosis or the balance between the good bacteria and bad bacteria goes off, giving bacteria food is again going to further intensify the disbalance or the gut dysbiosis that we have. In terms of what food are allowed in the low FODMAP diet, the list is extensive because some things that we think might be allowed might not be allowed, but we can go online, just do a quick search. It is very easy to understand.
So they just go and do the FODMAP diet?
Yeah, just the FODMAP food list.
Okay.
So they'll get to know, and if they want to know more about the FODMAP diet, they can just Google the FODMAP diet. They'll get to know the list, what is allowed, what is not allowed. And initially doing that till the time we feel better.
How long would you say?
So that would depend.
A month?
No, so that would depend from individual to individual, but anything leaky gut related, it has to be minimum 10 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why
Yeah,
patience,
I remember.
persistence, and
I
practice.
remember like it took very long for me to feel better also
Yeah.
because I was sick, but it took me a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah. So one has to be really, really patient with these things. But
yeah,
well, you learn a new virtue, patience.
yeah. Next, most important thing for a person with a leaky gut to do is to exercise.
Hmm.
And it's a well documented fact that exercise helps with the leaky gut because it promotes timely evacuation of the gut. It promotes something known as gut motility. That means thing moves within the gut in a much smoother way, and it only makes sense if we move, the things inside of us move. And it also helps to increase the gut flora that we have. So the amount of bacteria that we have, exercise has shown to increase those. And within that as well, the amount of good bacteria that are increased, that is higher as compared to the bad bacteria that we have. So if you have leaky gut and if you are not doing exercise to mitigate the challenges from the leaky gut, then you're missing out for sure. Apart from that, rampant use of antibiotics, in certain cases, it is sometimes important. And
But I
always,
mean, a lot of people take
Mm,
antibiotics even for a viral, which
yeah,
I don't know. I was also one of them.
okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I was also one of them. What to do? I mean, just so, just I think just ignorance, I guess. So,
yeah,
or I don't know why I didn't give it much thought.
yeah,
Like antibiotics, there was just a lot of antibiotic use for no good reason.
yeah. Also, I think if there is something that a lot of people around us are doing, it is kind of normalized, and we don't think a lot before doing normalized things. But that's the power of awareness. Once we have the awareness and we are empowered with the knowledge, we'll not make those same not so great choices that we were making in the past. So yeah, always liaison with your wellness practitioner or doctor, and do not take antibiotics unsupervised. That's for sure. Another framework or protocol that we use with our clients with leaky gut is to take a good quality, temperature stable probiotic. And the probiotic that works the best for the leaky gut, in my experience as well as is researched, is a blend of something called as bifidobacteria.
Bifidobacteria.
Yeah, you can also ask your wellness practitioner or doctor to prescribe that. A blend of that, a blend of something called as the lactobacillus,
Lactobacillus, bifidobacteria.
and another thing, there is something called as Saccharomyces boulardii.
Hmm.
So these,
I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
yeah, that one is actually the easiest one, Saccharomyces boulardii. But a combination of these three, or or at least a blend of at least one of them, is definitely going to help us overcome challenges of the leaky gut. One thing that is very important to know, that any probiotic supplement that we use for leaky gut has to be given at least 12 weeks.
Hmm. Okay.
Many a times people are presented with a supplement and they think it's going to do something for them, but it's going to take at least a month before you see visible results.
While you also practice the elimination diet,
Yeah,
you can't just take the supplements and not do the rest and expect it to work.
yeah,
Also,
yeah. So I would not consider probiotics as a part of supplementational protocol
Mm.
for leaky gut, but just as a part of the framework.
Mhm.
Because since we have discussed gut dysbiosis can cause leaky gut, giving probiotics, good quality, effective ones. Apart from that, another very important thing that we include for our clients is managing stress.
Mm.
And this is something that we have talked extensively in our previous episodes, practicing mindfulness, meditation, having a hobby. And if all these things are too much for you, just taking a walk in the nature is going to do a great deal to your stress. And on top of that, if you can take the walk with the barefoot on
Mm.
the grass, practicing
Grounding.
grounding, that is going to do further good for your health. Another thing which we prescribe, not recommend, to our clients who are looking to heal their leaky gut is sleep. If you are cutting down on your sleep, it's going to take more
So,
time.
how much sleep is required? I know
Um,
it differs for different people than the number of hours they require.
in my experience, I would not recommend anybody who is looking to take charge of your health less than 7 hours of sleep. And also, women
Need more?
require more sleep.
Okay.
And if they are on their monthly cycle, that need increases furthermore by
Really?
a good half an hour or an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, like a woman on her cycle would need how many hours of sleep?
It is very okay and common for them to take a 10-hour sleep.
What?
Yeah, yeah. And we should normalize this.
10 hours?
Yeah. And also, women should not feel guilty about wanting to sleep that much if they are going through that time
I
every month.
I don't think any woman is
Mm,
sleeping 10 hours
yeah.
with, like, if if there are kids at home and if they also work. I think
Yeah.
that 10 hours is a stretch. But well, good to know. At least even I didn't know that you you can sleep for 10 hours and it's good for you.
Yeah.
Because I think I've read and heard people say that too much of sleep is bad for you. And wouldn't 10 hours can be considered as too much sleep?
In my experience, it has never been the case that too much sleep is bad for you.
Really?
If you are feeling like sleeping a lot more than that, that means there are things that need to be fixed.
Right.
And irrespective of how many hours you sleep, the normal thing is to feel rested, refreshed, and energized once you wake up.
Right.
If you do not, then either the quality of sleep is not good, the duration of sleep is not good, or the rest and restorative functions that a body has, that is broken, and that includes the gut too. That needs to be fixed.
Please continue with the supplements that could be added to fixing the framework of fixing your leaky gut.
But before we dive into supplementation, very, very important thing, a very important disclaimer is that if we do not do the practices that we just mentioned right now,
Elimination diet, sleep, stress,
probiotics, low FODMAP diet,
probiotics. Hello?
low FODMAP diet,
Low FODMAP diet, more fermented foods.
yeah,
Yeah.
managing stress and all of those things, if we don't do that, and if we are just relying on supplement to help us, then in most of the cases, we are setting us up ourselves for failure because that would really many a
Mm.
times not work. Another thing with respect to supplementation for leaky gut is that since we have discussed that important role of small intestine is to absorb nutrients, if we have chronic leaky gut, we are going to be deficient in a lot of them.
Right.
So right now, when we are talking about supplements, we are not including those, but liaison with your wellness practitioner, doctor, get your testing done, and check for deficiencies and address those because it is a very important part of healing the leaky gut. That's number one. Another thing, now we go on to the supplementation that is considered as a best practice for someone with leaky gut. Number one is something called as L-glutamine.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an amino acid and it helps to repair the gut lining, which causes the intestinal permeability at the first place. And it's very common supplement that and helps with healing as well of muscles,
Inflammation also, right?
inflammation as well. Yeah. Second thing is something called as the colostrum.
Mm.
Colostrum is a milk, a dairy product,
Mhm.
and we get that once a cow has conceived. It is derived from the first milk. Many a times it moves into unethical category for certain individuals, but there are a few brands who have ethically sourced colostrum. That means whatever is in excess,
Excess. Okay.
they use that,
Okay.
freeze dry it, and the powder can be used in order to manage the leaky gut because it helps to repair the intestinal lining that we have. Apart from that, there is something called as quercetin. It helps with mitochondrial health, and it's also very potent for the leaky gut. So these are the main supplements that we recommend. But since the nature of the illness, for a lack of better term, is such that it involves multiple deficiencies and sensitivities, a more targeted approach is required to overcoming the leaky gut.
Wow, this has been extremely helpful. I'm sure it is helpful because I think it was an extensive topic, and I'm really glad that you have given the audience actionable steps to move. I think the steps are very clear, very precise, easily understandable. So thank you for that, and hope you guys enjoy this episode.